9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What's up, good people? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It's been a wild past few days. Of course, we're here with Women's Wrestling Talk, the Monday News Edition. We're going to be talking AEW Revolution, which was a wild card. We're talking Queen of the Ring and a lot of stuff we got going on here. And thankfully, I am not alone. I am joined by the ferocious leader of this platform here. You guys like to call her the real TK. I like to call her TK with the good hair.
Wow.
The boss lady is joining us, who was actually at Revolution yesterday. What were your thoughts on the show?
It was really good. Shout out to AEW. The seats were like essentially one from the floor. So we saw like all the talent who came in, all the things. The matches were great. I am not one for blood and guts, literally. So shout out to TJ and his friend Jay Felly, who witnessed me being an absolute punk because I just couldn't take it. But yeah, it was a great event. The press conference was good. To see, you know, I think oftentimes we have seen in the past where AEW, the stands weren't full. Crypto was full. When I tell you crypto was full, crypto was full. And I've seen Crypto Arena or AKA Staples Center in different capacities, whether it's concerts or shows and stuff like that. So it was really nice. I think a lot of people, despite AEW and, you know, all of fake TK's, you know, mishaps sometimes, we need AEW to stay around. We don't need AEW to tank. And it's only 5 years compared to WWE's, you know, extensive history. And WWE went through its ups and downs too. So it's really nice to see that people in LA, you know, showed up and showed out and supported. So, you know, hopefully there's more to come. I do not, you know, wish ill on AEW because people need jobs and we can't just have one company. That's just not fun.
Well, yeah, I want to get into the pay-per-view and everything we saw, of course, in the media scrum. But we have a returning council member joining us from the panel who's been all over the globe. You say I've been in the streets. This man been in the streets, living it up.
Mm-hmm.
The councilman has returned.
Yeah, man.
What? With the twist out and every look, he looking like kissed by the sun. He got the red cup. He was out in the streets in the islands doing his thing. You know, he probably left babies all over the place. It's gonna be a good thing.
I see how you bad bitches feel now. Getting flown out and getting put on islands and you ain't gotta put out. You get to just drink and put your feet up. I see why I almost put my Cash App in my bio on Instagram. I was like, I see why y'all do what y'all be doing now. Slide my DMs now. I'm trying to get flown out some more. But it is great to be back. I have missed that.
That's awesome. We all need the vacations. We all need them.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk AEW Revolution that was last night in Los Angeles. We'll be here for a while if we go match by match. So I'm gonna trim the fat and ask you guys, what was your favorite match on the card? And what surprised you on the card? Because I felt like they stuck to the script. At least what I imagined would happen through watching it. I felt like they kept it not predictable, but kind of like what I expected to happen. But Councilman, what was your favorite moments from AEW Revolution?
I mean, it should be everybody's. The Hollywood ending was the standout match for me. And I think the other thing I would say was the shocker for me, which I guess still, like you said, isn't really a shocker. It's become predictable, was that was not the closing match. After everything that's happened, that didn't close it. I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but that was me. Like, yo, it was everything I wanted it to be plus more. I did not see half of what was going to happen in that match, I did not see that coming. And I was like, yo, from start to finish, in the words of Roman Reigns, cinema. Pure cinema.
TK, as a person in the building, what were the highlights of the show for you?
Definitely, I agree. I second what Will said. One thing, and I don't know how it was on television, but one thing that there was a stark difference, because this is women's wrestling talk, there was a stark difference between crowd interaction with Mercedes match compared to Toni Storm's match. Mercedes match, you can legitimately hear a pin drop, and it was like, is very weird. And then, you know, I was waiting for Tony's match to see if maybe the audience wasn't about, you know, women's matches, because every crowd is different, every city is different, etc. But no, there was a stark difference between the two. And you know, I have a couple theories. I don't know if any of them are right, but it was just kind of, yeah, I don't know what it was like watching it, but in the stadium, it was quiet. Like you could hear a church mouse rolling through, you know, the convention center next door. Like,
you know what? I'll piggyback off that statement, because I was watching that match and I noticed how flat the crowd was, which was crazy, because they was putting on real graps. They was putting on real graps. You had some stiff striking in that match, and I thought, like, what's missing? And it was just the crowd environment, which was crazy. So I thought both women wrestled very well opposite of each other. And I think what I tweeted out in that match was like the ending felt weird, but then I read that possibly Momo injured her ankle. So that spot where Mercedes was supposed to do the reverse splash, it kind of just spaced out more than it was supposed to, I guess. Okay. But I mean, the match itself, I thought was fine. But what is that theory you have about that match versus?
I'm not gonna say it on there.
No, it's not PG.
But, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, but also too, like, was there build up to this match?
Good point.
And I think that's but with her is that there's no build up.
Yeah, but so here's a hypothetical. If it was, I mean, you know, we had Tony and Mariah, they had a build up. There's a storyline that's been executed for months on end. But if it was, I don't know.
Bosa, give me one damn reason why you think Momo should have won that match.
I don't even think it's the thing of Momo. I just think now, like, to this point, it's starting to become predictable.
Yeah, I think we all knew that she was gonna win. I don't think there was,
I don't think she's had, like, and to his point, I haven't seen anyone so far that they've built up to where it's like, yo, they're going to take that belt off of her. Like, as much as we love Harley Cameron, it's like, yo, Harley Cameron's new. We know they're not gonna let her go over Monet on the first shot.
Right.
And counterpoint, what Jeffrey's saying right here. He's saying AEW Revolution itself barely had build.
Yeah, but you at least had, I'll say you had more feuds and stories for this pay-per-view than you have in a while.
Okay.
But I think just because, like, nothing was built up for it, that's when it says it kind of falls into that predictability, which is why we say storylines is important. Because if you'd have built up Momo to go, like, maybe, like we say, though, in the back of our mind, we know it's not going to happen, but it's that little bit of maybe, kind of like.
So what is it then? I think we see this formula in the other company where the champion loses a singles match or exhibition once or twice, or, you know, but they don't drop the title. Is that something that would make you guys have that layer of believability?
No, even like, it don't even have to be that. Like, I think the best example is Mick Foley Jr. and Kevin Owens. They didn't have no match that interfered with that, but because of the promo work that they did, you had this small, like, hope of Sammy's gonna walk out of here. But in the back of your mind, it's like Kevin Owens gonna give him that work. But it's just the build up behind it that was just like, you give us a little bit of hope. No build up with Mercedes or Momo. It's just kind of like, okay, now we go back match for match, and we know from the creative stand, well, not know, because I don't want to say that we know it, but from the creative side, it looks like she's not gonna lose. So then it's just kind of just like, okay, we're just gonna wait till it's over because we know Mercedes gonna pick up that 3. Oh, look at that. She picked up the 3.
All right. I want to get some more thoughts. We have some people joining us. Of course, our AEW PR princess is here, who did have a watch along yesterday for the show. Courtney
Man,
is
shout
joining
out
the
to Courtney.
stage.
5 hours. 5 hours on her own.
Wow.
Man,
I was solo 5 hours, but I stayed on. Oof.
And then from parts unknown, my tag team partner, the other half to the greatest wrestling podcast of all time,
Oh,
Jacob DeLawrence.
Three for three. 3 for
that's
3.
what we doing?
I mean,
You're-
parts unknown just happens to be Florida somewhere running around fake TK's office asking him to come outside because I just want to talk.
Florida man. Florida
Yeah.
man. And
Florida
listen, it's a party.
Oh, wow.
It's a party. And we have the very astute, always professional. Y'all call him the professor. He's joining us too.
What up?
Guys, what's up? What's up? How is everybody?
Good.
Alive and kicking.
So
Alive
since
and kicking. That's important.
we got 3 people just joined us right now. Actually, I'll grab each one of you guys' thoughts. What was, I guess, the most captivating part of Dynamite? Or sorry, not Dynamite. Revolution for you? And then I guess what surprised you? I'll start with you, Professor.
What surprised me about Revolution last night? I will actually argue that it is probably the same thing that captivated me, and that was the match involving Mariah May and Toni Storm. You know, just the, I don't know. I think I'm stuck.
I hear you, but you froze just a little bit.
There we go. I'm back. Yeah, Mariah May, Toni Storm was my deal. First of all, just the sheer brutality of it all is something that we don't normally see in women's matches. And so, you know, if there was a company that was brave enough to do just unmitigated, unnecessary acts of violence, it would be AEW. With that said, the detail that was put into it, I mean, like the closing credits, all of the things that were connected to it, for a company that, you know, we've given a hard time to in terms of connecting the dots and that type of thing, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it with that. So I think for me, it's that. And the other thing would be the crowd. I mean, what they managed to do, usually it's WWE in LA that pulls out the stars. AEW pulled out stars last night. You know, you get a Leslie Jones going ham last night.
And it wasn't planned. Like her,
No.
what she did, it was her very first, I don't know if they said it on commentary, but this is her very first wrestling show. It wasn't planned. And there's something that I'll tell you guys behind the scenes because I don't want to give, you know, certain things away, but it was not planned. She was that genuinely excited, and she was definitely noticeable.
Nigel on live mic thought that was Prince Nana's mom.
That was
And for me, her being so animated and passionate, that was my favorite match of the night, just because it was like, it felt like a real 90s thriller. Like the crowd's very invested emotionally. But yeah, Nigel said that on the commentary and had to be corrected. But Courtney, you had to watch along. What match captivated you the most? Anything surprised you off the card?
Well, outside of my client retaining the women's title last night, I have to go with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Those guys, just have them fight forever. Just please let them do it, because for them to create a story, and also seeing Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay take a lot of shots, that match was crazy inside a steel cage. And plus, I was loving Don Callis because he was just upset he lost 2 for 2, because of course Takeshita lost to Kenny Omega. But Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher definitely had a solid match. I actually did enjoy the performance of the Outrunners in that tag team match, because it really did show that they can be a contender somewhere down the line, because it looked like the Hurt Syndicate did underestimate them a bit, but the Outrunners came back. The crowd was feeling it. So I do see the outrunners in that title picture in the long run. But overall, it was definitely a solid show. I did enjoy MJF versus Hangman Adam Page kicking off the show to get the crowd going and giving the win to Hangman.
Okay. Jacob, same question.
Not to beat a dead horse, but Mariah May and Toni Storm. I mean, like Councilman said, cinema. Like, at that point, we could have wrapped it up and just went home.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you gave us what you gave us in the main event, which I'm sure we'll get to momentarily.
All right. So since everybody's in, well, except for me, Swerve and Ricochet was my favorite match. But since it seems that the panel is in unison that Mariah May and Toni Storm was probably the biggest moment, all encompassing of the night. TK, I believe you got to attend the media scrum where people asked that question, and the fake TK responded with, at least any of the 4 matches last night could have main evented. So let's talk about it. What were the last 4 matches? Mariah May and Toni Storm, Takeshita and Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, and the main event, Adam Copeland versus Jon Moxley. So with that being said, out of those 4, it seems like you guys are in unison about what should have been the main event. Where did they go wrong in the formatting of, let's call it the Final 4? Councilman, I'll start with you.
I think this just kind of puts on blast something Triple H mentioned in the press conference at Elimination Chamber of, you say that you're watching and you're listening to see what's popular, and obviously it just showed that you aren't listening to us. You aren't listening to the fans. You aren't listening to what it is that we're paying attention to, because Mariah May and Toni should have closed that show. The credits, the end part, it should have just showed AEW copyright and went off. Not only did it should have done that, that would have put the AEW Women's Championship back in the place where it needs to be, especially if you have someone like a Mercedes Moné who's saying that you have the best women's division in the world. This was your time to do that. So as opposed to what Triple H is saying, are y'all really listening? Are you really watching? Because neither one of you are picking what's popular. And it goes back to what I say, the difference from NXT compared to main roster. You're allowing people with egos and folks that don't want to do things like that to be able to go and say, we're going to do this last. And it just showed you last night why that doesn't work. Because let's be honest, Jon Moxley, Edge, Adam Copeland, and Christian should have not closed that show. It was an okay match. It was decent. But again, out of the 4 that you mentioned, Toni Storm and Mariah, longest rivalry, best rivalry. Kenny and Takeshita just came into play. I don't mind those being in the 4. It should have been Toni Storm, Mariah May, then Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, and those other 2 before we got to our ending. I think it's just something that you kind of dropped the ball with that may have to do with just ego and pride from wrestlers and creative. Again, I don't know. I'm not back there. But I feel like, again, when are y'all going to start listening and put women in the driver's seat? Because right now, they're the ones that stole the show.
TK, you were in the building, so you can speak to, let's say, the sound of the crowd from all 4 of these matches. What would you say?
I feel like with AEW, when I go to a live event, it feels like there's a couple different segments of the crowd that Tony's trying to satisfy, if that makes sense. And, you know, of course, I was for Toni Storm and Mariah May. I feel like that's what they should have ended it on. But being in the building, it felt like every match there was a particular segment of the audience that was excited about it, if that makes sense. I think everybody was excited for Toni Storm and Mariah May, but it wasn't like, you know how sometimes you do those shows and they put their hands over the couple or the group and they like have like the sound as far as who makes the most amount of sound. I think it was evenly dispersed. Everybody was excited about all 4 of those matches. And I think therefore that's why Tony said it could have went either way. But I feel like he's serving a different audience compared to WWE, who's serving mainstream media. So I think that's kind of where the I don't know if the right word's disconnect, but that's, you know, that's why there's a stark difference between WWE and AEW at the particular moment. But long story short, I definitely went with Tony. They're in Hollywood. It's a long-standing story. You know, they were, I don't know if they made it to television, but they were actively pushing Queen of the Ring, which we can make mention of a little bit later, said if we have time. So it just would have made sense on a lot of different fronts to end that. Plus it was like just bloody. Like, who wants to clean up all that? They had to clean the blood and then move the stuff and then clean the blood again. Like, one and done. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Courtney, your thoughts?
I have a lot to say regarding last night. And I usually don't bring out my shades. I got a lot to say. I do have a lot.
Oh, Lord.
I actually do have a lot to say because there was a lot that played into it. And it's very ironic you brought that up as Toni Storm, because I was actually on that call last week for Revolution, and I specifically asked Tony, and a lot of people don't know this, AEW has not had a women's match main event a pay-per-view during their 6 years. And I said, is it possible to have a women's main event match in 2025? Now, given the fact, and also you could check out the media call on the YouTube page, he did say yes, it is possible. Why didn't you make it the main event? Because I've heard this from Mercedes, I've heard this from Tony, I've heard this from many people in the roster. You say AEW has the best women's division. We've heard this many times. Why did you not put this as your main event with the fact this whole rivalry has built up for over a year? They definitely had a lot of spotlight, and it was a perfect opportunity because March is Women's History Month. You also have Queen of the Ring that you've been promoting, and on top of that, you have the stars. You got some of the characters in the sidelines. So I don't understand, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago with Ricky Starks. A lot of it has to do with pride. A lot of it has to do with ego, money, probably envious and jealousy. I don't know what structure it is. I'm not going to put all of it on Tony because I said this even when I was on Marie's podcast on Saturday. I feel like there is somebody in that executive office that's really holding back a bit. I can't foresee that, but I feel like there is something because it's like, why haven't you pulled the trigger on that? And this is one of your best rivalries. So, Tony, I'm telling you this. I would love for Toni Storm to main event. But if you're going to have Mercedes be the first to do it, I hope, and I say this very diligently, I hope you do have a storyline that is really on the same level as Toni Storm and Mariah May. Because if it underperforms and underutilized, then where do we go from here? And that's pretty much what I have to say.
Who wants to follow that? Professor or
Professor?
Jacob?
Professor.
Professor, just give us a Cena mic drop. Just
Some passion.
Oh Lord. There's a lot that has happened here in these last couple of discourses. I will simply say that part of the challenge in a moment like this is, as fans, we can see how the matches go and then determine what should have been in certain places, as opposed to lining up the stories that were told. Now, I totally believe that, given all of the things that have been said, it's being in LA, this whole thing being a Hollywood situation, all of the things, it made all the sense in the world in terms of stories to put Tony and Mariah last. And it certainly would not have been the first time that they have made the AEW World Championship not the main event of a pay-per-view. I think back to last year's Revolution, Sting's retirement, and the World Championship match was next to last. The last match, of course, being the tag titles involving Sting and Darby Allin against the Young Bucks. So it's very possible there's a larger statement being made, and I think we can't deny what the larger statement is. The larger statement is, and this is a bold thing to say, but I mean, it is what it is. AEW does not value women's wrestling in the same way that they value men's wrestling. When they started the company, the emphasis was on wrestling and tag team wrestling and diversity. Think back to that first press conference. That was all of the conversation. Here we are 5, almost 6 years later, and we still are only getting 1 to maybe 2 women's matches a show. That night or last night, how many women's matches did we have? 2, maybe?
2. Mm-hmm.
2. So it's hard to say that you believe it. You cannot have something main event a show when you don't believe in it. Let's just tell the truth. You're not at a point where you really believe in women's wrestling, because if you did, you would have put more time into the story on a weekly basis for us to see that. You can't talk about the best women's division that you don't showcase. You don't showcase it because you don't believe in it. You say it's the best so that you can compare with everybody else's conversation. We all know TNA had a much better women's division than AEW. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that NXT's women's division is head and shoulders above. And here's how we know. They can take a 2-hour show and take an hour of it to dedicate to women. And we don't sit back and go, did you see how many women's matches? Instead, we go, boy, those stories are amazing, because you've taken the time to show us on a weekly basis. So I can't get mad at you. You know, I believe it was the great Maya Angelou who said, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Tony Khan, AEW, I believe you. I believe you believe in diversity, but your diversity checkbox is just to say we had women's wrestling on the show, not to say we believe in women's wrestling enough to make it the marquee of the show. So it doesn't matter that you're pushing Queen of the Ring as a movie and you have its stars in the building when that's not really a focus for you. Just here's my thing. I appreciate when people just tell me the truth, right? So if that's not your main focus, don't get into these press conferences and act like it is when it's not. It's evident. If you've done all these pay-per-views and there's never been a women's main event and you've had all these capable women, that says to me all I need to know. So I suppose then we should have been happy that we even got it on the pay-per-view as opposed to on the 0 hour.
Jacob, give us the hat trick. Give us the hat trick. Let's go 3 for 3.
Jacob.
So I already pissed off part of the internet on Friday with my rant.
Yes, you did.
Oh.
So, Dylan, which camera am I looking at? Make sure we get this right here. So, to echo the sentiments of my partners, no lies have been told. I watched Dynamite last Wednesday, and there was the women's match, Megan Bain, and I was like, oh, damn, it must be about 9:30. I looked down, 9:24. It is a problem when everything on your show is predictable when it comes to women. Do better. Do better. And stop focusing around one woman. And yeah, if we look at these last 4 matches, Mariah May, the cage match, Takeshita, world title. Pull me out the single cam real quick. I'm gonna come back to my rant. Pull me out real quick. I want to see everybody for this because I got a question. Professor and TK, y'all work with wrestling promotions. You're arguably your most important title are your men and women's world titles, correct?
Correct.
That's how it should be, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the new approach of story dictates which one goes last, right?
Sure.
We're all watching the same thing, right? I want to make sure I'm not crazy. We've all been watching the same thing for like the past year. So even Hangman Page, maybe a couple months ago, he had a promo and he said, I want to get back to the men's World Heavyweight Championship. Him putting the men's in there, in a way, put the women's on the same equivalent. Like, hey, we have 2 World Heavyweight Championships. We have a men's and a women's. They're equal footing. Why are we not treating them as such? How do you tell me that Takeshita Omega Part 3, 4, whatever is more important than your women's world title when this is your secondary, tertiary belt? We don't know what's more important, Continental or All Atlantic. We don't know which one, or hell, the TBS title or the TNT. We don't know which one is the most important secondary belt. You got 3 of them. Figure that out. And then I understand you have a blood feud in Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. But why? Why are you going to do a car crash after I just watched a car crash? Not even 30 minutes. And I watched a violent, bloody car crash where we taped our hands with the tape, double-sided tape, dipped them in glass, and went to swinging. And then you turn back around and put 2 people in a cage, and I got screwdrivers and baseball bats. I just saw that 30 minutes ago on a 4-hour show. You want to make some noise, and blood is supposed to be effective. You don't need to see blood every single week because it lessens the effect of blood. You become immune to it. Cody Rhodes, we're looking at you. That being said, I'm bleeding within 30 minutes. Bloodbath, crimson mask, everything. I just cleaned the mat, like TK said. We just cleaned the damn mat. Now I got to go clean it again? I got to go put another mat down? Yo, man, I hope y'all paying me extra for this today. Why not start the show with Ospreay and Fletcher? You want to start the show hot? Start the show hot. Start the cage. Let's start it hot. Now I got a 3-hour breather between one bloodbath to the next bloodbath. And like Councilman said, the end. Roll that copyright, pack this shit up, let's go home. Nice and simple. And then I finally get to the point. Moxley. Nobody cared for the most part. You had a few crowd reactions. TK can speak on this better, but watching, and I watched it back today too at work, it was kind of like, hey, oh, hey. And then Christian comes in. We finally get that out. Thank you. Thank God we got rid of that looming contract. But make it make sense. Because if we can look at this as people, more so me, Councilman, Courtney, and the mayor, as people who have not worked hand in hand with a professional wrestling organization, if we can look at this and go, hey, man, story. World titles are most important, and then we go story. Everybody's kind of whatever on Death Riders right now. Good, bad, or indifferent, and there's a lot of bad, depending upon who you ask. Everybody seems to be in agreement that Mariah May and Toni Storm is cooking with fish grease, baby. Close the show. And again, this is going to be your one shot where you got a women's tie-in with Queen of the Ring. Roll Jim Ross out on commentary, executive producer. You already got the crowd, the director. You have all of that. You've done all this promo, all these premieres. You ran a damn angle at the LA premiere. Why? Why are we dropping the ball and leaving money on the table for a world title that we ain't seen in 6 months? That I'm convinced this man lost in his. Because look at that briefcase. That briefcase too damn small for that belt. Let's keep it a buck.
Facts.
And like you saved it by running the swerve angle, because at least the last thing we see is somebody that everybody likes. But come on. It's right here. Here's the layup. What we're going to get is a forced Mercedes Moné main event, probably title versus title, somewhere down the road. And that's cool. Love you, Mercedes. You're great. You've been great for the industry. However, lightning in a bottle, one big story. Strike while the iron's hot. Make the most of it. So what if you piss off 5%, 25% of your audience? Who cares? It's a world title that we're not interested in. This is like, hey, you want to say you're different? You got the best women's division? Prove it to us. Because like Professor said, we don't believe you. And you need more than people. You need more than more people. Do it consistently. Get the women out the 9:30 death slot on Dynamite. Tell some stories outside of Collision and off of digital. And make use of that quote-unquote greatest roster that you got. Because right now, I see the same 3-4 faces. Do something. Now I'm off my soapbox.
Let me add something to that real quick. What was that, Councilman?
Tony Khan does not like women's wrestling.
Well, I got something equally big, though, because this isn't just a he doesn't like women's wrestling issue. This is ultimately an issue of not knowing how to program a television show. That's the issue here, okay? So I'm going to take you guys a little bit behind part of the velvet rope you didn't necessarily know about. So I've been doing radio for a long time, and part of that is programming. And so whenever I put a set together, my number one thought is, what kind of emotion do I want to elicit from my listeners? And I group an entire set around that. We're going to go there, here, and there, and do this all to get a specific reaction. The problem right now is you have somebody back there programming this show that doesn't have a clue about ebbs and flows, highs and lows. Mm-hmm. Everything can't, listen, if you do everything all the time, then nothing has impact. Mm-hmm. So you have to take people on a roller coaster ride. You got to take them up and you got to bring them down. You need palate cleansers. You need all of those kinds of things. You could have taken this different show, this same show, rearranged the parts, and people would have been like, oh my God, this is incredible. But because it's not being programmed right, it doesn't matter how many great matches you have. If you put, to your point, and I'll tell you guys this, I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but I'll say this just so that you understand. One of the things behind the velvet rope in pro wrestling that is often told when people want to program a show well is pay attention to the match before yours, or the two or three matches before yours. Mm-hmm. If there's a move that you plan to do and somebody's already done it, don't do it. Because we don't need 18 super kicks in the show. They lose their impact. And so it's clear that those kinds of conversations, here's what frightens me. If those conversations are happening on independent wrestling shows and they're not happening at All Elite, there's a problem. So again, I say, we look at number one, no, I don't believe that AEW loves women's wrestling. But 1A is there's clearly not great programming on this in terms of how to structure and organize what pieces go where in the television show. Yeah, I know that's your world title, but if your world title is not your most compelling story and you're not, I mean, think about it. This is the equivalent of having a music festival and putting Beyonce in the middle. So unless you have Kendrick Lamar or some massive star who is an artist who can pull, you would never put Beyonce in the middle. Never, ever.
And then put Ice Spice as the main event.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's harsh.
You would never have Sexy Red close a show that Beyonce is on.
But Sexy Red.
You wouldn't. You didn't know I knew that. So I'm just saying, you would not do that. So I think we have a programming issue. You take these elements, flip them around, much to the councilman's, or I think Jacob's point, if you know that we're going to have blood in two of these matches, put some space in between it. So I don't keep, because if the more I see it, the less of an effect it has. So they got to get some better folks on programming.
This is a sidebar, just because I know TK asked us in the group chat about all-time WWT live clips. My nomination is the first time Professor ever heard Sexy Red. That is a top 5
my gosh.
of all time.
Yes. Yes.
Dylan, if you can find that show and clip that moment.
Oh my gosh.
Please,
Dylan. Please.
That's a very frightening moment.
We got like 22 minutes before I got to get out of here. So I got dealer's choice, the next story, guys. What do you guys want to talk about next?
Since we're talking women's wrestling, can we discuss the breakup of the big three?
Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
Because here's a space again where programming becomes key, right? Programming is key and time is taken. Now, you would have imagined with all of the stuff that WWE had been talking about with Cody and John Cena's turn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they were very clear to make some time, prime time, for this right here. And what we saw was pure cinema. It has been the talk of the entire weekend. The Bianca and Naomi and Jade and who's right and where do you side, and oh my God, all of it was just, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. We got to see elements of Bianca and Naomi we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. They made this true to how an argument with people like us would look. We argue different, for those who didn't know.
Yeah.
And what went down Friday night is exactly how it went down. I sat back and I was like, that's really close to home. Like, yikes. Sheesh. They didn't have to dig too far to come up with that. And so it was done masterfully, beautifully. There's always an element of truth that makes you go, ooh, that stings. And when Naomi said, every time I stand up for myself, y'all turn on me, y'all leave me. Mm-hmm. That's really like the first open reference we had to what happened in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
They've been mum. They've said nothing. She let that fly. And we all were like, yo. And then when she hit Bianca with that last line, listen, for our non-melanated friends who might be joining us, I want to just kind of hip you into some culture around people of color. There are some terms that I know some people will use as terms of endearment, and tone and inflection will really change what it means. When what was said Friday night, the way it was said, those were fighting words. Those were fighting words, and those were words out of frustration. And the camera, can we shout out again? Can we shout out the camera work? How they were clearly on Bianca's face when that line dropped, so you could see the facial expression change. You could see her go from crying to,
what she say?
What did she just say? Now we ready to fight. You know, it's those kinds of things. Now there's still some loose ends to be tied up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need us to somebody to explain why Jade Cargill walked right past Bianca. Bianca's crying over her. Bianca's upset about her. And Jade just looks at her. Didn't hug her like, thanks, B, for standing up for me. Nothing. Just goes in. Now, she's already beaten Naomi down earlier in the week. So now we're going to beat her down again.
That's what's crazy to me. It's like,
this is so for me, I think, I don't know that Bianca and Jade are fully a thing, if we're completely honest.
Oh, you know what? I have an answer to that.
Okay.
But then the matching gears. That's the second time we've seen the synchronicities of the gears between Naomi and Bianca and Jade being the exact opposite color, and it's black and white.
Yes.
So it's like me as a viewer, it's like I can't wrap my mind around that Naomi took out Jade alone.
No.
You got that type of ass whooping twice. There's no way you took this gargantuan woman on by yourself. I don't care if you pushed her and got the jump already. My mind cannot fathom that.
I will say that's the one thing I wish would have been different about that whole segment, because like you said, it was perfect, but I really wish Naomi would have stood 10 toes down when she came to the ring. I didn't like that shit. I would like, especially the way they argued, I'd have really liked her to say, yeah, bring your ass in this ring. I showed you. You snuck me last time. Let me get my lick back. I would have loved to have seen that instead of her running, but I am okay with it, with the fact she screamed out Bianca before she hit the mat.
Listen. But you know what? That lends itself to the fact that somebody had to help Naomi.
This is true.
The question is who? Because she wasn't trying to do it on her own.
I still say it's the Meta Girls. I would love for her. I would love the Meta Girls and Naomi to make some kind of faction.
I would love that.
It has to be somebody that you can believe can take out Jade on their own. There's not many names on the roster. Like, I immediately think Nia Jax, who we haven't tied in to this story yet, but I still, even Bianca came out today about like people still think she was involved somehow. I think we're going to get that domino to fall at the very last minute, because we want to build this like allure for the WrestleMania match with Io that'll eventually have Rhea in it anyway. There's no way. There's no we don't drop this ball and have Bianca turn and be a part of this. The matching gears and stuff like that, they can continue doing that because it's been such great content for them on the socials, her and Naomi.
Bianca put the call in because here's the thing. Bianca has never said she didn't have anything to do with it. She says she never attacked Jade. If I'm one to believe in verbiage, and if I'm the one that's like, ooh, look, I know what you're accusing me of, but I didn't technically do that thing that you're accusing me of. I may have done something similar. It's the adage of, if you're going to accuse me correctly. So she might not be innocent in the whole thing, but she's probably not guilty on attacking Jade. She's put a call into somebody, and we figure out who the call was made to.
Well, didn't Naomi say, like, I did this for you, you just don't realize it yet?
Yeah, she did say that.
Bianca cares about Bianca. Jade only cares about Jade. She's never cared about Bianca. So it could be one of those like late realizations things where it's like, look how I'm on top now. So this was done for me.
Well,
that's getting your ass whooped finally.
And that's what I was going to speak to as far as Professor, why Jade, kind of left Bianca alone, because at the end of the day, Jade is out for Jade, right? We kind of know behind the scenes why her and Bianca were paired up, but it wasn't necessarily because they were friends. Like they might have become like acquaintances throughout, but like, is that her girl? Nah, she's not my girl. I'm gonna leave her alone for now. My main target is this person. So yeah, like I feel like she's not gonna console Bianca because it's like, well, she's not even my friend like that to begin with. It's like Jade gives me the air of kind of like how I roll. Like, all right, well, you I we ain't homies. If we homies, then I'll console you. But you just got here. Like I just met you.
I mean, but even
art imitates life.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, like I know you, but like,
is that why I ain't got no Port of Spain yet?
Cookout, like,
man, better watch out. We might find fucking mayor on the top of a windshield knocked out.
Is that why? Is that why I ain't got my Port of Spain yet? I'm just a work homie.
Who took out the mayor? I was on the show when it happened, so it wasn't me. But to your point, though, TK, it's like if you think about it too, let's like rewind it back before that happened. Bianca had just came off a run as the women's WWE Women's Champion, and in her eyes, it's like, okay, I'm finna get put back in that picture, and it's like, no, we need to give you this person that we need to start trying to build up, show her the ropes. We're gonna give you the tag titles just to make sure that it's okay, and it's like, I don't want to be in the tag division.
Exactly. She did.
Especially after the tweet she made. Like, yo, like when they lost the belt, she was like, yo, I'm done. I'm back in singles action. That was cool. I'm back. And it was like, yo, so it questioned, did she ever want to be in the tag team division?
Do we want to touch on the whole stuff that's been coming out about Jade was never really hurt, yada, yada, the backstage politics?
I mean, we know. I mean,
we know what's been said between Jade rubbing people in the locker room wrong. Maybe they pulled her away from the angle for that reason.
I mean, I don't think that's what it was. I think it was more business.
But also too, if it is what some of it said, like I don't. Again, this is just me though. But it's like, hey, I don't think it's wrong to push that you want to go spend some time with your family. Like, especially if they are willing to allow you to do it. It's like, okay. Again, like that, that may speak differently back in like, a different generation, but it's like, yo, like some people want to be with their kids and stuff. So
what I read is they were saying Shayna wanted to box. That's just what I read.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like we have to see what the rollout for Jade is. In kind of seeing how Jade operates, I find it very unlikely because we all know WWE's schedule compared to AEW's schedule. So I find it very unlikely for Jade to step in this scenario and not negotiate what would work for her. So if it said like I need time to spend with my family, and that was already predetermined before when the contract was signed. It's not like, oh, this is a lot, I can't do this. She doesn't speak to me as being unprepared. She speaks to me as that she had several conversations with several different people beyond Triple H and everybody else, and she her contract is the best thing for her and her family. So I'm sorry for you if you weren't afforded that type of contract, and or you didn't negotiate that for yourself. But you can't get upset at somebody else who knows their value and is working with it. So that's a whole.
Shayna got other people she should go box before she tried to go box Jade Cargill. Box Def Rebel for changing your music. Box Vince McMahon for nerfing you when you first got up there. Box Sonya Deville for not putting you in the lead where you should have been. You got a lot of more other people on your list you should be telling to step outside before you go over to Jade Cargill.
Counselor said it, so I don't got to.
Just saying.
Hell, then.
You could box Lola Vice for beating you up in the underground.
I wasn't going to bring her up, but I mean,
I'm just saying.
I can run up in the back. That's all I'm saying.
They should not be in your top 10 of people to go fight on site.
Well, then.
So we got a few more things I want to talk about before I got to get up out of here. They just released some new John Cena merch. Now, we know we haven't heard from John, and shout out to TK for getting a viral video by asking Miss X John Cena about what she thought about the heel turn. You can check that out across the socials. But we got new Chain Gang merch and a new John Cena farewell title that they're pushing. Now, we know we haven't heard from John at all. He did post something cryptic on socials after Cody won in his Cry tour on Friday, posting Denzel Washington Training Day. If you've seen the movie, you can allude to what that reference means. But what do we think about them kind of remastering and re-releasing his old merch before he became Super John, if you will?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Also, the fact that he posted GTA 6 on his Instagram that he went heel before that game came out is hilarious if you're a video gamer. Oh, yeah. That was hilarious. I just had to throw it out there.
Professor, do you think this ties into what type of John Cena we'll see when he eventually, I think it's next Monday, he's supposed to come back on the 17th, but what we'll hear from him when that time comes?
Oh, I'm sure. And I think, people obviously are going to want to hear from him to hear what he has to say, but put that merch out, make that money, because people love a good heel. And for as upset as people are with John Cena, he's still going to move merch. And that championship is fire. So I think, that plus that new design on the front of the T-shirt, yeah, they're going to be all right. Because here's what we're not ready for. We're not ready for how Cena is about to spin this. Mm-hmm. Oh. Cena is one of the best talkers in the game. And Cena has the ability to talk you into going, he was right. So prepare yourself for that. And he's going to do it on foreign soil too. Mm-hmm. Them people, and it's the last time they're going to see him. Oh yeah, it's going to be wild.
What's the likelihood of Cena showing up with a different haircut?
I've heard that they're going to take him bald. That's what I heard.
I mean, oh no, he got to give me like a fade or something.
Oh no.
Yeah, you got
to. When if he goes bald is kind of like that whole evil kind of thing, man. Let that man go bald. Fully bald? Oh yeah.
Well, with no facial hair.
What? Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. No facial
hair. He gonna look like one of them. You know how you create the wrestler on the video game and they just bare? Or you got to
like the guys showing the moves.
Yeah, that's what. He gonna look like that first rendition of Mr. Clean that they didn't use. It's like, bring me back.
Give me a fade or use the extensions and put some braids up in there or something like that. Just go forward.
You're just gonna have black Lex Luthor and white Lex Luthor. It'll be fine.
Wow.
It'll be fine.
All right.
Wow.
Before we get out of here, or before I get out of here and Bonner gets out of here and Ced gets out of here, I do want to shout out Cedi said for being a great road dog for the red carpet that we did in Los Angeles. We were discussing questions as far as when we were doing these interviews, and I am surprised that nobody asked Bree or Nikki about John Cena. And if you don't understand why I asked the question, then you just don't understand entertainment and journalism. Mm-hmm. So I want to give Ced his flowers and maybe some Port of Spain butter.
Is this what flowers feel like? I normally don't get flowers. This is what receiving flowers feel like.
Let me say this.
I want to put TK out here because she said something very interesting last week, and I told you I was going to wait till Monday. Because she asked me if she could ask this question, and then she was like, "Oh, like you go interview all the men. I was like, I want to interview women too. She's like, I don't want any of the penises. That's a direct quote. That's a direct quote.
I had a direct quote
with no
for you, but
context.
I don't know that it matches that. Wow.
So I said, okay. I said, okay.
I saying crazy stuff all the time. I was like, what is he gonna say? I didn't even know. I'd be saying crazy stuff all the time.
Yeah,
I understand. I can't interview the men, but let me get Mariah.
Wow.
Now the folded up piece of paper make more sense now. That's now. I see it. Dots. Gotcha.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Professor?
All right. I got 3 quick things. I ain't clipping them. I can get fired. That's right. So, quick thing number 1, news on the Hall of Fame. This is going to be really interesting for a lot of people. So in case you have not heard, the Hall of Fame has traditionally happened in these last couple of years immediately after SmackDown in the same location. Not the case this year, as Hall of Fame this year is going to be at the brand new Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. It's the official host hotel for WrestleMania 41. It's going to happen at 1 a.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. Pacific on that Friday night. So what that means is you've got SmackDown, which is going to start at 5 p.m. Pacific. That'll end at 8 p.m. Pacific. Then people will move from there, which is the T-Mobile Arena, head over to Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. 2 hours later will be the start of the Hall of Fame. So if you're on the East Coast, it'll be a 1 a.m. start time. If you're on the West Coast, it'll be 10 p.m. I actually like the fact that they're doing this in a separate venue. Now, with it being that late, I doubt that they're going to try to pull an all-nighter. So I still think it'll be a relatively succinct event, probably 2 hours or so. But it gives people a chance to move over there. That's one thing. Thing number 2 is, if you haven't already had a chance to do it, go back and check out the latest episode of Saturday Night Vibe for All Caribbean Wrestling. It aired this past Saturday on Tempo Networks and on the mobile app. If you've not downloaded the mobile app, it's really, really cool. And I'll just say this, you'll get a real good feeling for the true commentary vibe between TK and I on this episode. This is just the start of a few very interesting moments. And if you think TK here is something, yeah.
The fact that I don't even know what you're referring to is just so scary.
Well, here's just know this. TK will say almost anything. And it's just go back and watch it. I say it's the fastest 30 minutes in pro wrestling because it is. Last but not least, I will share this one little nugget because I've not told any stories over the last 2 weeks. And there's a specific story. You guys always look for a story involving TK. So here's the story. And one of her cards is probably going to be immediately taken away when I tell you this. Apparently, TK had not watched an episode of The Cosby Show.
Oh, okay.
That don't surprise me no more.
no.
Canadian. I just chalked it up with she's Canadian.
She's Canadian. Yeah.
You haven't seen like one rerun, no?
But she would fit in with
Now,
the Cosby, so why has she not seen an episode?
Because she's from Canada.
Now, I could tell you another story about how she looked around the corner to specifically look at a wrestler in his underwear, but that's another story.
That ties in with Sed's quote.
That's the
Wow.
one.
Yeah.
That's the one we were looking for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and
Wow.
for the record, it was not in the locker room.
Wow. He was walking around like he was just walking like out there. Just that's not my fault.
Now, this is the woman who said what she didn't want on the red carpet. Maybe it's because it was the red carpet, but she certainly never mind.
Wow.
Or Trick Williams.
Or listen, the thing she's doing on Trick that Trick has no idea about. Trick is over there, with his body butter on that she gave him. She ain't paying no attention to Trick.
She tricking on Trick?
He's tricking on Trick.
On that note, I'll
cold
see
game.
you on Wednesday.
Bye.
Actually, hold up. Can
Oh,
we about
wow.
to dip?
Yeah.
No,
Yes, I
yeah, everybody else is staying.
Oh, well, you guys got to tag out appropriately.
All right.
Oh, y'all know
Y'all
where
can
to
find me at bonnerfide. Y'all know the deal. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. I'll see you guys next time.
TK, you want to answer this?
Oh no! And I tried too. I actually tried.
Yeah, we tried.
Oh.
Yeah, we did try.
It.
It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I was on my best behavior. I was actually very professional. Very professional.
Yeah, he was. He did a really good job.
She tried to fight as hard to Mercedes is getting that body butter to you. That's how hard she tried.
That was the third thing I was going to say. I figured out the third thing. That was the third thing I was going to say, which is shout out to you, TK. Shout out to Ced. Shout out to everybody who worked on the red carpet there for WWT Live. That is really awesome. Appreciate all that you guys are doing. There's nothing like when you go with the hard-hitting journalistic questions for those moments, because that is what creates the viral moments that gets the people talking. Mm-hmm. So always be prepared with great questions, because that's what gets the people talking. It's not just enough to say, hi, how are you? So I'm glad that you guys were able to think about, the connection between Cena and the Bellas and why that would matter, as opposed to saying, what do you think about the movie? So shout out to you guys. Great work.
Yeah, and then we got a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of interviews with the actors and actresses of Queen of the Ring. TK had me write like 10 articles over the weekend, so they should be on the website now. We're doing a special Women's History Month series on the predecessors of women's wrestling, if you would. There should be a June Byers, one on Mildred Burke, one on Babs Wingo, who's a trailblazer in the space. We're actually covering all of them, as well as profiles on the actors and actresses that portray those people in Queen of the Ring. Queen of the Ring's a dope movie, so check out the website for some of those articles.
All right.
Yep. On
I'll
that
see you
note,
guys.
never find me.
Y'all handle the Monday Night Raw preview for me and all that. I got to go to a meeting. There may not be a watch along tonight. We'll see, but there will be a post show. So I got to get to this meeting at 4:00, and then I'll tap in with y'all.
All right.
Y'all know the socials. I don't want to be found, all that good stuff, but we'll talk later.
Doesn't want to be found. Doesn't want to be found.
Refuse to be found.
All right, Councilman, let's get the thing moving.
I just arrived. I just arrived. Because I have no idea what the fuck's supposed to be next. But okay, let's go through these slides and see what's happening. Let's get the Raw preview going.
Let's talk about Raw.
Yeah, we got Yeta Mania taking on Grayson Waller tonight on Raw. A few weeks coming out, we'll see if we're gonna see this new vicious side of Jey Uso, as he mentioned after that vicious attack from the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther last week, and if we'll see Gunther here tonight on Monday Night Raw. We also have this fucking tag match that keeps happening for some strange reason. The New Day taking on Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Don't know who's asking for this. Kind of wish they'd let him wrestle another tag team, but for some reason we're getting this. So hopefully this is the conclusion to this beef. And again, shout out to Dragon Lee for becoming the new Speed champion, and they actually have him wearing the belts now in the so that's great. Even though he's behind Rey Mysterio, kind of weird, but okay. Then we also have AJ Styles calling out Logan Paul. Now, not sure what he's calling him out for, if it's going to be for a match at potentially WrestleMania, or if it's going to be maybe something that happens on Monday Night Raw. Not really sure anymore with the way they're booking a lot of things. Because it is on Netflix, it might be a Raw banger, or it might be something that's leading up to WrestleMania. Just as much as our main event tonight, it is going down two of the biggest feuds that two of the biggest stars with the biggest feud right now, Monday Night Raw. CM Punk and Seth Rollins will settle their dispute in a steel cage match. Now, I just want to know for y'all, when it's said and done, who's winning this cage match and how are they winning it? Are they climbing out, or is it going to be a pin? Courtney, let me start with you.
For some odd reason, because it is in New York City, I feel like we're going to see Roman Reigns probably make a return because he wants Seth. That's how I think of it, because we are in WrestleMania season mode, because he wants Seth. And I just think all three of them are going to have bad blood with each other. But for this one, because CM Punk won the first time, I do think Seth should get a win and at least some leverage. So it's a possibility. I could see Roman Reigns coming in and maybe Seth winning, but I think I'm gonna go with CM Punk on winning this match, going 2 wins against Seth.
All right, Jacob, your thoughts?
I believe the artist formerly known as the Monday Night Messiah gets the win back here, makes it 1-1 heading into Mania. I think he gets it due to a little bit of shenanigans in the form of Roman Reigns somehow sticking his head in, trying to get his lick back. And that's how we get to Mania in a triple threat. That if we go keep it a buck after last week, I don't really need it to be a triple threat. Just bring me back Punk and Seth one more time.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Seth is going to get his lick back, especially after losing to Netflix, losing on the premiere Netflix. And I am in complete agreement with Jacob. I don't think we're going to get a triple threat match. I think it will be Rollins versus Reigns, because I think CM Punk is going to use that favor to go and be put into the main event with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, especially after that promo that he cut last week.
Yep.
Raw. I feel like this is about to come to an end. I really think at first I was kind of hesitant. It's like, yo, like this is a Mania match. Like, why y'all didn't build this up? But then the more I thought about it, I was like, it's really not. It's really not a Mania match. It really is a Raw on Netflix type of beef. And I'm glad that they did do it on here, because this is what makes you want to tune in to Monday Night Raw and keep those ratings going. So I think this is good. But I would also say, what is something that y'all are also looking forward to potentially seeing on Monday Night Raw that may not be potentially on what they've shown us? Because we also know the World Heavyweight Champion Io Sky will be in the building, as well as Bianca Belair. So Jacob, what is one other thing that you're looking forward to Monday Night Raw?
I want to see what they're going to do with the women's IC title, because Mania's around the corner. It's 2 nights. If you don't put these 2 women's mid-card belts on the line in some match, I don't care if it's a 6-person scramble, what are we doing? Like, we just ran down fake TK and AEW for mishandling their women. You just created whole new secondary belts, and they don't make it on the first Mania? Nah. So let's see what we do, because Lyra beat Ivy last week. Does that beef continue? Do we get a new challenger? Let's kind of get some other things kicking toward Mania outside of the big marquee matches.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing like a tournament to determine who's the new number 1 contender for the women's IC title. Courtney, what about you? What is something else outside of the things that we have seen that's scheduled to happen that you look forward to maybe happening on Raw tonight?
Raw needs to revamp their tag team division for WrestleMania, because no offense, I have nothing against Dragon Lee. I have nothing against Rey Mysterio. I enjoyed Joaquin Phoenix and Cruz del Toro in that match against the New Day because it made sense. Yes. I need the tag team division of Raw to step up a bit. Yes, you have the War Raiders on American Made, and then you have those 2. Because SmackDown, they're already cooking up something over there. We already know what's happening on SmackDown. So it's like, I really need Raw to kind of step up to the plate. Of course, yes, you do have the Judgment Day of who knows the combination, but also the women's mid-card. I would also like to see what's happening with the Intercontinental title with Braun Breaker.
Please.
Oh, we know where we're going with that.
Yes, we're going to have the greatest luchador in the industry right now, Dominic Mysterio, take it off of Braun Breaker at WrestleMania.
Oh, we giving the Scott Hall Invitational at Mania.
It is time. It is time for the greatest
5-man, 6-man ladder match. Throw that thing up there. Braun, Kaiser, Penta. We can go ahead and throw Dom in there. Give me 2 more. Let's go.
I'll take Sheamus. Bring me Sheamus in.
You know what? Put Sheamus in and let Sheamus get it that night, and then nerf him the next night.
Facts. Raw after SmackDown, perfect time for him to drop it. Like, perfect time for him to drop it. I would not mind that whatsoever.
You win it on night 1, that following Monday. Yeah, let me go and get this spot for you, Playboy. Congratulations. We have checked all the boxes off.
Yep. And then that way you done already got it. You Grand Slam champ, and you ain't got to give that full run. So I 100% agree. Now, something I do want to talk about that I've kind of like realized, and I've dropped the ball on a little bit. That we don't ever have no NXT preview about what's happening. We don't never get NXT cards.
We got some time. I mean, I got time. Y'all got time?
I mean, I got time to talk about it in my
we got Roadblock. I mean, Roadblock's tomorrow. We can preview that.
So you know what? Let's go and get into it.
Talk about what's cooking tomorrow.
Yeah,
let's go and do it
in Madison Square Garden. I mean, like the matches we seeing, you would think would be happening at Stand and Deliver, and we getting this the matches going up on a Tuesday
on free TV.
Right? Yep.
Let's talk about. We got the legendary Hardy Boys, the TNA Tag Team Champions, taking on the NXT Tag Team Champions, Fraxium. And look, I know a lot of people feel how they feel about Fraxium, but if you don't think this is finna get show-stopping 5-star, you are sadly mistaken, because this is finna go off. But I just want to know from y'all, who do you think is winning this match at Roadblock?
I got one complaint, just one complaint about this match. Why is this not a ladder match?
Well, okay. So the only reason why I say I can see why they would hold off on that is because Fraxium doesn't have that big of experience in ladder matches. Like, we know that is Matt and Jeff's lane.
That makes it even better.
Yeah, but I think that is something you save for Stand and Deliver. I don't know if that, because again, I think they might run this back again. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if you want to fully give that out just in their first run with each other.
Cool. So if I'm not mistaken, this is for the NXT tag titles, right? Or is it for the TNA one?
Yeah, this is for the NXT ones.
Okay, cool. So let's say we don't get a finish. We don't get a clean finish for whatever reason. You're right. Run it back. Stand and Deliver. When it takes all, baby. I don't care if you got to throw no quarter catch crew in there tonight to make it or tomorrow night to make it a DQ, a no finish. Throw all three. When it takes all, throw them ladders. Let's go.
And then too, though, if we're being honest, someone from TNA who's beefing with the Hardy Boys tag team wise, that can also
throw the system in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like they leader is gonna be there that night anyway. So
yeah, might as well.
Yeah,
do it. There we go.
Yeah, let's really beef this all the way up for Stand and Deliver. We also have who else do we have before we get to the two big main ones?
I'm trying to pull the card right now. Here we go.
Yeah, because they don't have it up on WWE yet for some strange reason.
Like they do, but they don't, which is the most annoying thing in the world.
But also, too, shout out to Sean Spears becoming the new North American champion. Well, thoughts on that and his new faction?
I don't hate it. I think it's going to take some time to grow on me. I kind of like this version of Sean Spears being a gaslighting, manipulative mastermind and surrounding himself with people. And I mean, it's not the best people you can put around him, but at least you're doing something with the ones around him. So I'm enjoying it. I just want to know, where are we going with this? Like, I don't want this to flame out like Ty Dillinger flamed out.
Yeah, I don't think it will for him. I'm more kind of in fear of the other ones, like Brooke Jensen, Nico, and then Izzy Dame. I think Izzy Dame will be fine. I think Izzy Dame will be fine. Yeah, because I think it'd just be good for her to get more TV time outside of just being in the back. But if they don't make Jensen and Nico this dominant tag team, like I saw when they took on the D'Angelo family, like that's where you're going to drop the ball. And so they're going to need to be showing like why they're a dominant tag team. We're going to need to start seeing that more and more each week. I don't need to get them to Stand and Deliver doing anything, but it's like those two need to start wiping the floor with a couple of tag teams and showing why that faction is so strong. Now, one of the other matches we have is, of course, this feud that's been going on between Javon Evans and Ethan Payne. They are going to settle it at Roadblock. The young OG taking on All Ego. Now, we know All Ego walked out of Vengeance Day as the winner, but who do y'all see walking out as the victor in Roadblock? Courtney, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go with the young OG. I want Javon Evans to get a win over All Ego. Let him get the win in New York City.
All right. Jacob?
I think All Ego gets the win again, and like we string this out just a little bit longer because we're still playing into the whole Kanye West swollen shut mouth thing. So let's just string this out just a little bit longer.
Yeah. I would like to see Javon win, but in the same light as you, Jacob, to keep it stretched out because Ethan's won one. I want Javon to get one, so then that way we can stretch this out. Because we still haven't had a specialty match, and I think that would be great to move in the stand and deliver to put on the card, which is something like either it could be like a last man standing or a first blood match. I think that'd be dope to bring back a first blood match between these two, just to kind of settle the score between them. So I'm gonna go with him for this one. Then of course, one of my clients has come on back home, and she will be taking on the newly signed Juggernaut. We got Roxanne Perez taking on Jordan Grace Tuesday. This card is ridiculous. But who's working out?
Muscle Mommy for the win.
Courtney, your thoughts?
I smell a lot of shenanigans in this match between Jordan and Roxanne. I smell a lot because also Roxanne does have a beef with Bailey, but who knows? I don't know if she's gonna show up in New York. It's a possibility. We don't know, but if these two ladies are gonna go back and forth, and these two are meeting with each other again, and Roxy won the first time against Jordan Grace.
Mm-hmm.
I would like for Jordan Grace to get a win, so I'm going with the Juggernaut.
Also, too, just because y'all said that, Bailey, stay your ass out my NXT, because that went absolutely nowhere at all. That whole feud went nowhere. I really
it ain't over. It ain't over. She probably pull up tomorrow.
If she do not pull up at Roadblock, don't come back. Don't come back. Don't come back. But of course, everyone knows my pick. I hear you, Sendil, talking about there's no way Jordan Grace loses. But again, y'all always keep saying that my client wasn't going to walk out as champ against Lola, against Jada, against Jordan when she won that Battleground. And guess what? Pop Rock City ran wild over all of them. Okay? And y'all little precious Julia the first time. Okay? So y'all already know who I'm picking in this. All right?
But did she do it straight up?
We ain't asked about all that. We're not worried about all that. We didn't say we going for clean victories. We didn't say we were honest. Stand up with us. Hey, we get the wins by any means necessary.
I'm just checking for the record.
Oh yeah, but I think shenanigans will happen. She does definitely have a mountain of a juggernaut to climb. Now, I'm gonna talk about what I will call the first main event. My other client, the ruler, the big back coalition leader, is putting his NXT title on the line against Moose. Who walks out as NXT champion?
First and foremost, ain't nobody walking out. Somebody gonna crawl out and limp out with that belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because what Big E say? Big meaty men bumping meat. Yeah, this is gonna be a banger after banger after banger.
It's meat.
That was a thing. Oh, I'm gonna give it to Moose only because Moose has the system in his back pocket. Can't count out Myers and them. It's right there. Shenanigans, Moose steals it, and then we get this off and running because they've kind of got the better Obi on TNA side. So, and Oba seems a little unsure right now. If you look at that presser, seemed a little unsure of himself, but he was like, I don't want to commit Nigerian violence, but I will. Moose gets it. Back work.
Okay. Courtney, your thoughts?
Ooh. Well, as Jacob pointed out, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans because he's part of the system with TNA. But for some odd reason, I do see Oba retaining. But I think with these two, this is far from over. This is going to be way far from over from these two. And I could possibly see Oba making a little appearance on TNA this week, but Oba's going to retain and still be champion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to roll with Courtney. The only reason why I say that too is because I agree with you, Jacob. I think the system will be involved in shenanigans, but also too, the Hardys are there, and because they've had that tag match, I think Oba will have some backup. But if I'm gonna be honest, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't think the match can ever get started. I don't think the match is gonna start at all. I think we're gonna get so much shenanigans from it that we don't even have a match.
Just from Jump Street.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it leads to Stand and Deliver well, because both titles need to be on the line. Both titles need to be on the line. And we got to get past Moose taking on Jeff Hardy in that ladder match and Sacrifice. That's why I think the Hardys are gonna be there. So if we have a match, if we do have a match, the Hardys will definitely be in there with the shenanigans along with the system. So, but if we do, I'm just to say for match wise, I have to go with my client. Now, the main event, and I can't wait to hear Cindille's comments in this thing. Title for title, La Primera, Stephanie Vaquer, the NXT.
A couple of days in Puerto Rico.
Hey man, listen, man. You know what I'm saying? I had some rum punch. I had some Bahama Bobblers. You know what I'm saying? That roll now, pick and roll now. The Women's North American Champion is taking on the NXT Women's Champion Julia, title for title. When the smoke has cleared, who walks out as the double champion? I don't think they're going to unify the titles in deal. I don't think that's
they're not. It's been clarified title versus title for title versus title. So somebody leaving with both. Courtney, take this one real quick.
I think for this one, this is going to end it in no contest because I can smell a lot of shenanigans throughout this match between these two with Stephanie and Julia. Not to mention you have some of the women's division that are eyeing this because Boza put in the chat, Fallon Henley's one of them because she lost the title to Stephanie Vaquer. So I have a feeling this possibly may end in a no contest and a lot of shenanigans are going to happen. And I have a feeling we are going to probably see them meet again at Stand and Deliver.
Cindille, I know they say that, but a lot of stuff been getting thrown around because even with Moose and Oba, it was supposed to be title versus title what they were throwing around, and now we done found out like it's just the NXT title up for grabs. So I'm going with Stephanie. I'm going with the Dark Angel is walking out. Plus, I've heard Julia may be injured and may need some time off. So I think it's about that time, man. Go ahead and let Stephanie Vaquer get it. Because I done said it before. I'm gonna say it again. It's a stacked women's division. You got a lot of people itching for that spotlight. And if I'm gonna be honest, that star that was Julia has definitely dimmed a little bit since that Dark Angel arrived. So I'm going with her to take it all. To take all of it. And if not, I think we see a heel turn from Julia. I think Julia goes heel.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know who's winning, but I know one of them's going to snap and turn heel. That's the definite thing I see coming.
Somebody going heel, and I think it's Julia.
Ooh.
They can't spare Julia about right. They've already been booking her wrong. No, that's the thing. Like, I hate to say it, it's nothing against her. She's a great competitor, but you have a stacked women's division and so many people that are there that are itching for this spotlight and doing everything they can. And for some reason, like Julia has not hit it. Like even like looking at a Stephanie Vaquer is everywhere. They got her on magazine covers. People are consistently reporting her. You're not seeing that with Julia. Julia's not competing every week. Julia's not even doing vignettes every week. Matter of fact, when Julia is there, it's tied with Stephanie Vaquer. Key word, Roxy was competing. Key word, what you just said. Roxy was competing. Even when it was to be selected for the Royal Rumble winner, Charlotte didn't even talk to Julia. She didn't even address her. She addressed Bailey. She addressed Roxanne more than she did Julia. Again, I know you love Julia, Cendile, but there's some. I'm saying it to not talk shit about her, but something is missing with so much stack roster that's going on.
So you say something is missing with Julia. Could be the language barrier. Could be a couple of things getting lost in translation, style of wrestling. What if, just what if, by some odd chance, Julia turns heel and retains her title and gains the North American title? But she does it with a little help in the form of two of her friends. One Asuka and one Kairi Sane.
I lose my shit.
Oh my God, that'd be crazy.
Cinema if that happens.
That'd be crazy.
Hey, you know what's crazy? Asuka been posting a lot these last couple of days. They've been having her a lot posted. And then that new, like I saw that new like facial mask she had, like the paint with that big thing of black right there. I'm like, yo, let her come back with that.
Let's think about it. It's easier to insert those two into NXT than it is to insert those two to Raw or SmackDown this close to Mania. So why not? Let's try a little something different with Julia. Let's
especially with Bailey coming back too. I can see that.
Go and turn a heel. And,
rather that than that whole damage control thing. Like I'd definitely rather see them be back there just for a stint, not a long time.
Yeah, just do Mania.
Yeah, I think that would be dope.
Get us to like May, June. Nice little heel run. Give Julia some legs and like get her established solidly.
Yeah.
And then a secret swim at that point.
Yeah. Cendile said what's missing is they keep having her booked with other mega faces instead against heels like Roxanne. Who has she faced since she won the title? Just the rematch with Roxanne and Bailey. That was it. Besides that, Julia has not been in a match since then.
Also, you say mega faces, it's Stephanie and Jordan. Like, it's two people. And Bailey. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like
Bailey's going to Bailey, so
that's what I'm saying. It's like I again, like to Jacob's point, it could be a language barrier, it could be that. It could be the wrestling style. And you say, but she's always with Steph. Yeah, and Steph is, but again, Steph is there every week. Steph is performing every single week. She's cutting promos, she is cutting vignettes, she is doing interviews. Like again, like it's just like, yo, where is Julia during all of this time?
You know why she's always with Steph? Because this is actually genius. Hey, I got two bright, shiny new toys that aren't necessarily the best speakers of English, coming in with a lot of hype. Let's put them both together and let's see who they naturally gravitate to. Let's not force it necessarily. Put a belt on each one and let's keep them together, buddy. And let's see where things gravitate, and then we'll sort it back out.
Yeah. And we've seen who everybody's been gravitating to. But I think the biggest thing is I think Julia is injured. If Julia is injured, then this does say a lot for what's going on. And it is unfortunate that it just happened to happen when she wins the title. Because like I said, I don't think there's, like I said, I do feel like there's just certain small things missing from Julia, but it doesn't have, it has nothing to do with her in-ring performance. It has nothing to do with her persona, because all of that is there. But I think it just happens to also be that you have such a competitive roster that the decisions, and again, this is not on Julia, so let me make sure that's also clear. This isn't fully on her. the decisions creative wise of what your NXT Women's Champion needs to look like has to be very crucial because all of these women are making such an impact. Like again, I never thought that I wanted to see Sol Ruka and Zarya as a tag team. Now I can't fucking unsee it because they are incredible. And there is no woman on NXT when they step in that ring that has had a bad match.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when you don't have your NXT Women's Champion there that night, you can lose a lot. Just like in a video game, your number system can drop dramatically if you're not present.
Speaking of Sol Ruka and things I can't unsee in regards to her, I'm not sure if y'all knew this, but did y'all realize she's black?
Yeah,
Somebody actually mentioned that last week.
that was me. I did not know that. Then I saw her parents on Valentine's Day. I was like,
No, like some account tweeted out that there's like 13 or 14 black wrestlers in WWE 2K25. And I sent to my homeboys going through the photos, like, all right, cool. We got Lash, got Jakara, got Miss Parker, cool. And then I hit a hard record stop. Sol Ruka and Kiana James. I said, I'm sorry, come again.
well, Kiana James, I knew. Kiana James, I did know. Sol Ruka, I didn't, because I saw it on the post. Kiana James a while back, I already knew that. It was a post they put for Black History Month. And
Yep,
so I was
found
like,
that later.
Like, wait, what? And then she showed her parents, and I was like, I knew. Oh, so it's Sol Ruka. Gotcha. Okay. I see what you're doing.
I was just like, I'm sorry. What?
It's Sol Ruka. Like, I knew there was a reason I liked you. I knew there was a reason I liked you.
The hair makes sense now. The hair makes sense.
It makes so much sense. But that's all it really is, yo. Like, it ain't no disrespect to Julia or anything like that. I think just when you have such a stacked women's roster, you have to be there. And again, I'm not saying this because of her. It could be due to injury. It could also have to do with creative. We're not sure. But as of right now, we're showing like with where they are now, you got to be there every single week. You need a segment every single week. And the fact that even since then, she has not had a rivalry since she became champion. And the only matches that they've put her in, I forgot because she did have another match, is tag matches. Because the next match she was in after the triple threat was her and Stephanie and Jordan versus Fatal Influence.
Mm-hmm.
And she barely was in that match. So I think to Dylan's point, she might be injured. And they might be just trying to take it slow with her.
Pick and choose your spots.
Mm-hmm.
So we gonna see, but but y'all already know what y'all don't know, but I'm saying now. So the councilman is back. He will be there for the NXT watch along tomorrow for Roadblock. So if you will be tuning in, it is just if you thought Stand and Deliver was finna be something, they already giving it us a Roadblock. So I can't even predict what Stand and Deliver finna look like. But y'all can catch it all tomorrow with the councilman. Hopefully, some of the siblings will stop in. Maybe even Jacob might stop through real quick and just say what's up.
Yeah, look now. I'm working on a per date contract like the Young Bucks. Okay,
that's what I said. Maybe
use up a lot of these dates here lately.
Yes, dates are to be determined. It's right there at the bottom.
So, quick question, and this is a question that I genuinely have. Do you believe, because NXT is taking place at the theater at Madison Square Garden, so it's the side setup, smaller, they've held boxing there. I think you can get like 5K in there, give or take. Do you feel like NXT could have sold out Garden proper? Or at least put 15, 16 grand in there with this card?
Ooh.
Because think about it. Especially back during the TakeOver days, you were getting TakeOver in either the same arena, or if it was like Mania, you're getting it in an arena that SmackDown would run in. do you think this card sells out MSG proper?
I think this card would have if they'd have been treated like a PLE. I think it could have. If you'd have said this was going to happen Saturday or Sunday in Madison Square Garden, absolutely.
But a Tuesday dampens it.
Yeah, so it doesn't get as much promotion as it normally would, as a PLE would. But I definitely think with this card, and had it been put on a Sunday, it could have definitely sold out the Garden.
That's fair.
But they did. They took it the safe. They took it the safe route. I'll give them that. Like, hey, Tuesday, and I get it's still TNA, so they're still trying to work that partnership in and stuff like that. But again, I think it's getting there. I think it's getting there to where it's like, we're gonna start seeing them less in Orlando and more on the road as we continue into 2025. Just hopefully, Fake TK is watching, so you can see how you schedule a show to where we got our highs, we got our palate cleansers, as Professor said, and then, hey, you ended off right with the match should end the show.
Funny that we bring back this point. I meant to say this earlier when Professor brought it up. It's wild that somebody who's a fan of New Japan doesn't know how to book a show. And you have all those wrestlers from New Japan. A New Japan show may be long, but that thing is beautifully booked.
Beautifully. Mm-hmm. That take you on that's the reason why they can sit there for 6 hours, because you take them on a full ride.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like New Japan go book a show perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But
Make it make sense.
But no, we're gonna end it with a dude that got a championship in a suitcase that obviously it don't fit in. Close with a dude that is old that we scared gonna break his ankles if he does something stupid again. And a guy with a turtleneck and no sleeves to cash in a contract we all forgot he had and did not even successfully cash it in. All to end on our favorite wrestler over there to just do this.
And for you to cash in and for you to be the one to take the L, it get choked out. But I will give him credit. That pin attempt was real smooth, though. I ain't gonna lie.
It was. That was real smooth. Yeah, but Mariah May and Toni Storm with the sticky banded glass hands. Come on. What do we do? But it's all good. You always know how I feel about it. Come on home. Come on home, Toni. Come on back home. We got you this time.
I don't think Thomas Toni works.
Thomas Toni Storm is just incredible.
I don't think it works in WWE, though. It'll look better. Like
not in main,
better.
Not in main roster. Not in main roster right now. No, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
No, it should stay at AEW for right now. But it definitely, I hope who watches this, I hope they hear it and they do get that back to Fake TK of like, yo, if you say you got the best women's division in the roster, you got till All In to let one of them, either if it's Mercedes, okay, or if it's Toni, one of them two women should close that show out at All In Dallas.
So you got till July.
You have till. Hey. If we don't have a women's main event, I'm getting the shirt made. Tony Khan does not like women's wrestling.
Hey, I'm available. All you AEW fans, y'all want to get mad at my comments, go around and tell Fake TK I'm available. I'm a few hours away. I send the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. Either that or you get that neck brace put back on. But anyway, we know start in 22 minutes on the Netflix. So we're not gonna keep y'all any longer. We thank y'all for checking us.
Eat your shit and get out, Jody.
I apologize for my outbursts. Oh man, we thank everybody for joining us on another episode of WWT Live. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the NXT Watch Along with myself. You never know who's going to pop in for an incredible roadblock. Before we get out of here, want to make sure that you always know to follow and support our panelists. Courtney, we're going to go ahead and start with you. Let them know where they can follow and support you.
Well, I mean, they can always find me at Tony Khan needs to do better with their women's division because I said so. They need to do better. But anyways, they can always find me here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday Wednesday, I do my watch along every Wednesday for Dynamite. You're going to catch the fallout of AEW Revolution. Continue to road onto Dynasty, where it's in the city of brotherly love in April. Make sure to follow me on @CourtneyNJ11 on Twitter and Instagram, because we have content. As Boss Lady said, I'm still going to pop out content from the red carpet last week. We did get numerous interviews, especially over in New York. I had the chance to interview with a few people in the AEW realm. Julia Hart, Deanna Purrazzo, Jazz. I even got a chance to chat with Westside Gunn during the red carpet. So feel free to take a look at that. I'm also in the process of posting an article on WWT Live where it's going to be hits and misses regarding AEW Revolution.
Yes, indeed. Jacob, it's always a treat when you can pop up here. You kind of like the Brock Lesnar WWT. Let me finish before you say where I'm going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Heyman stated, if you saw him every time, then the magic would go away.
I was just going to say minus the allegations, but that also applies too.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure that you saw where this was going.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Minus the allegations, absolutely. Very fair point. But you can find me on Twitter @_JDella. You can find my writings and musings over at anscape.com. March's Must Cop Sneaker Guide just dropped this past weekend. Go check that out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share it, all that good stuff. And I guess I can do Ced's bit since he decided to disappear and not want to be found. But guess what? You're going to go find him. And you know where you can find him? You can find him on Instagram @cedistheanswer. And you can find him on Twitter /X @Ced_says, that is CEWD_SAYS. Make sure you go follow the mayor of Vice City, Parkerville. I'm soon to be laid out because I keep begging for body butter. Make sure y'all go follow that man and help him out.
You can find me at Why Wasn't Julie at the Empire State Building today with the wrestling champions.
Oh my goodness.
All socials and YouTube, because I need answers why she was not there today, but Stephanie was. Just throwing that out there. But you can also find me at willpharaoh, PHARAOH, on all social and YouTube, and as well as Twitch. Be sure to check in on us Saturday for the Kayfabe podcast. I got a special guest I got to sit with while I was on the cruise, Mr. Mega Ran himself, the guy that has rapped the New Day theme song. So it was a great, thank you so much. Great time to be had with him. Got to talk about John Cena, lining up to see who he will face now that he has gone heel, and if he will get number 17. You will get a chance to find all of that out either this Saturday or this upcoming Monday, because we may go live, we may not go live, because of course Big Papa Deonne, as we call him, has become now proud father. So we got to get everything ready. Honey out here making the money now, so we got to get everything situated. But stay tuned to the Kayfabe podcast, and we'll keep y'all updated on the socials, man. But we want to thank everybody for checking out WWT Live. Make sure that you like, comment on this video, so that way we keep the numbers going up. Make sure you go support all the interviews that are going to be dropping, the articles that will be dropping about Queen of the Ring. Believe me, Courtney, Honey, TK, and Cedric did an incredible job. So make sure that y'all go and support those as best as you can. And we will catch y'all next time here on WWT Live, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.